Hey there everyone, this is Michael Dougal, and during this video I'm going to rate a number of nootropics from a scale of 1 to 10, all of which I have personally tried. So this is an experience-based video. You may disagree with my opinions, some of you may like them, and I'm not judging nootropics based on factors outside of improving cognition. So there's some supplements that, yes, they may boost testosterone, but I don't really care about that. For this video anyway, we're talking about what do they do as far as cognitive benefit. Are we going to be smarter? Are we going to be more productive? Are we going to make more money, have better grades, all that good stuff? So without a further ado, we're going to get into our first nootropic supplement, and that would be Adrafinil. And I would rate Adrafinil only 3 out of 10 because the side effects are very severe. It's like modafinil, but the side effects are much more exaggerated. So you can look into modafinil as an alternative, or you can look at armodafinil. The next nootropic supplement is Alpha-GPC. I would rate Alpha-GPC 7 out of 10. Great for cognition, thinking, planning. It's an appropriate nootropic to add on any other nootropic stack, and that's why it's in so many great nootropic blends out there, so I love it. The next nootropic supplement is Alpha-Lipoic acid, and I would rate Alpha-Lipoic acid 5 out of 10. It's going to be better for those individuals that don't respond that well to carbohydrates. Then you'll notice that when you ingest some Alpha-Lipoic acid prior to eating meals, especially bigger meals, you'll feel more energized and a little bit sharper. The next nootropic supplement is Aniracetam. I would rate Aniracetam 8 out of 10, and that's because it has a very unique benefit in that it really helps you socially. You don't experience social anxiety to the same extent. You feel a bit more comfortable in conversations, and it also does a thing or two to boost your work ethic. And the next nootropic is Ashwagandha, which I would rate 6 out of 10. It's great for stress, anxiety, calmness. Some people say that it helps them with fatigue, but for most people they experience the really negative side effect, and that it can be somewhat demotivating in that people's work ethic does suffer to some extent once they've ingested ashwagandha for a considerable amount of time. Next we have Bacopa Monnieri. I would rate Bacopa 8 out of 10. It's one of the best nootropics at improving your memory, and it also has a really neat benefit of helping with stress management. So I first started taking Bacopa specifically for the stress management properties and benefits, but I noticed that it did a really nice thing and actually improved my memory, short-term memory, long-term memory, help with recall, so you can expect some good things with Bacopa. The only negative side effects are similar to ashwagandha. It can have some demotivational properties once you start taking it. Next we have beta-alanine. Most people consider beta-alanine more like a pre-workout ingredient versus a nootropic supplement, but it actually does both. Beta-alanine has a nice benefit in which it also does help you with your energy levels if you're sleep deprived. So for that reason, I would rate it a 5 out of 10. It's not bad. It has some neat uses and minimal side effects, which is great. Next, we have black pepper. Black pepper is a nootropic that a lot of people take to actually increase the absorption of other nootropics, but it hasn't been my experience, so unfortunately I would only rate it 3 out of 10. Next we have Bromantane. I would rate Bromantane 5 out of 10. People often use it to improve their motivation levels. It's not stimulating. I like that it's side effect free. I noticed I have a slightly better work ethic, but I was a little bit misled because everybody seemed to really hype up this product like infinite motivation, and I've talked more about Bromantane in this video that you'll see right over here. Next we have CDP choline. I would rate it a 6 out of 10. It's like a cheaper man's choline, you can say, versus Alpha-GPC. Alpha-GPC is a lot more effective if you're going to use a source of choline in your supplementation regimen, but CDP choline is a nice alternative perhaps if you're not getting the benefits you want from Alpha-GPC, or if you're experiencing Alpha-GPC side effects, as they are somewhat common. Next we have caffeine. I would rate it 9 out of 10. Very effective, energy, motivation, alertness. Does come with a little bit of anxiety, but I would really encourage you, just don't give up on your caffeine intake. If you've only been trying it through means of drinking coffee, maybe consider caffeine pills. If you've only tried higher doses of caffeine, consider cutting down the quantity of caffeine and just spread it more evenly throughout the day. You may just notice better results doing that. Caffeine is an incredibly complex nootropic supplement, so definitely just don't give up on it. Give it several shots and watch a lot of my videos. Next we have Cysteine. Cysteine is marketed more so as like a testosterone boosting product, but I would actually rate it a 7 out of 10 considering its nootropic properties. I have found that when I've started to ingest Cysteine on a regular basis, I overthink a lot less. I'm less in my head and just overall be in a place where I'm less likely to be in my own way. Next up we have CoQ10. I'll rate it 2 out of 10, and that's simply because it hasn't done anything for me. And it's going to be more likely a supplement to work with the elder population, you can say. And I do see the odd person that mentions it does help them a little bit with their energy levels. Next, we've got Coliracetam. I would rate Coliracetam 5 out of 10. Most people take it to improve their memory, but I really do feel there's better memory boosting nootropic supplements out there like Bacopa Monnieri, but it's pretty free on side effects. I had an okay experience with it. I just didn't really find any reason to go ahead and purchase it again after trying it. Next we have cordyceps, which I would actually rate 2 out of 10. It didn't do anything for me, but for some individuals, they actually notice better cardio, better energy, even the ability to be more likely to execute when it comes to work. And trust, I have tried it from so many different vendors thinking that it could do something, because other people do report that cordyceps really does help them with their energy levels and especially helps them when it comes to working out, but not my experience anyway. Next we have creatine, which I do actually see as a nootropic. It's really good for energy levels. It's good for alertness. Also does help people when they're sleep deprived. Just the one issue with creatine is that you need to hydrate more, so drink more water. And for that only purpose, I would rate it a 7 out of 10. And I think creatine is more likely going to be like a 9 out of 10 if you're somebody that is a vegetarian, because you're not going to be getting any creatine from your diet pretty much. Next up we have dynamine, which I would rate 6 out of 10. I previously rated this nootropic only 3 out of 10, but I seem to like a little bit more right now, because dynamine I see as the good alternative to caffeine that helps you physically but not so much mentally. So if you ever need like a physical stimulant but you don't want that mental stimulation that you get with caffeine, then dynamine can be a great alternative for you to look at. And next we have ephedrine, which many people do see as an alternative to caffeine. I would rate it as well a 6 out of 10. And as a nootropic, I kind of like ephedrine. There are some instances when I would actually use ephedrine instead of caffeine. Like for whatever reason, I can use ephedrine later in the day without it keeping me up. But with caffeine will just keep me up if I take it anywhere after 4 o'clock p.m. So ephedrine is pretty short lasting that way. It is a physical stimulant, is a mental stimulant as well. And this is one that you definitely want to be careful with. And next up we have fenugreek, which I would rate 2 out of 10. It does have some health properties. Some people say it's good for testosterone levels, but I didn't notice anything from it. However, it's relatively inexpensive, so you can decide yourself. And next up we have ginkgo biloba, which I would rate 3 out of 10. I haven't noticed the best results with it. A lot of people use it to improve their memory, and it does have some research stating that it can help blood flow to the brain, which theoretically could be good, but most people don't really notice anything from it, unfortunately. However, it's tried, tested, and true, side effect free, so it's good that way. Next up, we have green tea extract. I would rate 7 out of 10. I think it's a great antioxidant. I do just feel sharper, more well-rounded when I'm ingesting my green tea extract. Just the one thing about the supplement is that you never want to take it fasted. You always want to take it with a meal. Otherwise, you will feel somewhat lethargic and somewhat tired. Next up, we have Huperzine-A. I'll rate it a 3 out of 10. It's not too expensive, yet it really doesn't do too much. Some people say they can take Huperzine-A and actually have lucid dreams. That has not been my experience. I'm really not sure what Huperzine-A is for, but I remember this nootropic previously marketed before a lot of the nootropics became popular for improving your memory. So maybe you'll have that experience, but it has not been mine. Next, we have L-Carnitine, which I would rate 4 out of 10. Hasn't done too much. I do like that it gives a little bit of a boost of energy, a little bit of a boost of alertness as a nootropic if you're going to use it pre-workout. But theoretically, L-Carnitine should help with utilizing fat for fuel, and I don't really think it does anything like that. Next, we have L-Tyrosine. I would rate it 9 out of 10. It's naturally occurring. It's going to help with motivation, work ethic, concentration. It's one of the best nootropics you can take for a boost of energy levels. So you can ingest some L-Tyrosine and have 90 to 120 minutes of good energy levels. And the only bad thing you can say about L-Tyrosine is sometimes it does cause a little bit of anxiety, but it's a nice good anxiety that makes you want to work. And the next nootropic supplement is L-Theanine. That's the other popular L, and L-Theanine is more so responsible for calmness and anxiety levels, and I would rate it a 7 out of 10. The only issue with it is that some people ingest it and they notice they're a little bit demotivated and that it does hurt their work ethic, but I really do like taking L-Theanine along with caffeine. That seems to be a nice blend. And the other neat way I've made good use of L-Theanine is taking it before bed, because it does help with relaxation and just falling asleep in a nice fashion. And the next nootropic supplement we have is lion's mane, which I would rate 9 out of 10. Very effective long-term. Short-term, don't notice much from it, but it's a very interesting and unique nootropic supplement, as it will make you more curious. You will want to learn, you will have better relationships with people, and you really just feel like wiser and smarter and all the good benefits you would want from a nootropic supplement. I really encourage you, be a bit patient with the use of lion's mane, and you'll find that also there's a neat benefit in that it does improve your mood significantly. And I've talked more about the lion's mane benefits in this video here. You'll likely find that informative. And the next nootropic supplement is magnesium L-Threonate, which I will rate 7 out of 10. It's great. Great for alertness, good for sleep at the same time, which makes it very interesting. You just feel a lot healthier once you're taking it. But the issue with magnesium L-Threonate that puts a lot of people off, versus the other forms of magnesium is that it's darn expensive, unfortunately. However, if you can't afford it, I really would encourage you to look it up. The next nootropic supplement is melatonin. I would rate it 6 out of 10, which of course people do still take for sleep. Melatonin, however, is not something that you would want to use every single day, but as far as a nootropic, I think it's great. I think it can help you wake up a little bit earlier than you like. If you've had a bad experience, I would encourage you to try it from several vendors. Nowadays, people are also taking like the instant melatonin, but also the extended release, so you really got to find what works for you. For me anyway, I'm only using melatonin something like twice a month. And the next nootropic supplement we have is modafinil, which I would rate 8 out of 10. Do your due diligence on this one. It helps a lot with focus, helps with alertness, work ethic, energy levels, really does help with multitasking. But the issue with modafinil that so many people experience, including myself, is high levels of anxiety, irritability, also an uncomfortably elevated heart rate. Next up, we have mucuna pruriens, also known as L-DOPA, which I would rate 4 out of 10. Quite honestly, I'm really not sure what this nootropic does. L-Tyrosine is going to be a much better way of improving your dopamine levels. That's what mucuna pruriens is supposed to do. You're supposed to ingest it and then feel all the benefits you would experience from having higher dopamine levels, like more motivation, more likely to be executing in your higher paying tasks. But I haven't had that experience with it, unfortunately. In fact, it was a waste of money for me. Let me know about your experience with it. Next up, we have N-Acetyl L-Cysteine. I do feel a little bit better, a little bit more level, better thinking, better planning, but it's slight, it's not that noticeable, and so for that reason, I'll rate it 6 out of 10. However, I know some people that will rate it 10 out of 10 because N-Acetyl L-Cysteine can be said to do some pretty neat things, and I've seen it help a lot of people with like OCD-like behavior, or even getting over addictions that are unpleasant and they know are not good for them. Next up, we have Noopept, which I would rate 9 out of 10. It is great for motivation, for focus, alertness. If you want to make money, consider ingesting Noopept because that's something it really did for me. Like the way most people look at Noopept is they'll ingest it for 60 days and then they'll wake up and say, wow, things are going really well with business. I wonder what I'm doing differently. And they may not realize is the fact that Noopept was probably helping them be a little bit imbalanced and help them more so focus on their work and those high paying activities, because that's definitely what it does. And I've had some of my best months of sales selling residential real estate during times when I was over ingesting Noopept and taking more than I probably should have been. Next, we have Oxiracetam, which I would rate 7 out of 10. Man, when you take Oxiracetam along with choline, you feel sharp. Your problem-solving abilities are great. Your verbal fluency is great. Your alertness is good. You're pretty focused. But the only issue with it is that you do build somewhat of a tolerance, and so I would really recommend that you do cycle off routinely when you are taking Oxiracetam. Next up, we have a PRL-853, which I'll rate 3 out of 10. A lot of people use this supplement specifically for improving their memory levels, but I didn't notice that benefit specifically. In fact, I didn't really notice anything when I was taking PRL-853. Next, we got Panax Ginseng. I would rate it 5 out of 10. It's really good for fighting stress. So for me, what I don't like about it is that I do feel this like awkward, uncomfortable stimulation along with it. And I would much rather take something that's going to fight off stress and still allow me to be myself and have the same personality. Next up, we have Phenylpiracetam. I absolutely love it. I would rate it 9 out of 10. Great for energy levels, great for fighting anxiety. Man, I've had some of my best workouts taking Phenylpiracetam, and your work ethic is absolutely incredible. So you can consider Phenylpiracetam to be a little bit similar to modafinil, higher energy levels. One issue with it though is that with me anyway, Phenylpiracetam does keep me up at night, so I need to ingest it very early. But one, of course, really unique and great benefit with Phenylpiracetam is the fact that you can ingest it once and experience high levels of energy throughout the whole course of the day. Next up, we have Polygala. This is one of the newer nootropics from Nootropics Depot. That's where I got it anyway. And I rate it 4 out of 10 because I didn't really notice too much from it. Maybe a slightly better memory, maybe slightly better focus, but nothing that made me want to go ahead and get it again. And for that reason, I think it's one of the more like trending nootropics, which wouldn't be too memorable several years from now. I think there's going to be better alternatives out there. Next up, we have Piracetam. It would be 8 out of 10, maybe higher. It's just the fact that the dosage protocol of Piracetam is such a headache. It's very hard to discipline yourself to the consistency of it. Piracetam is something that you need to be taking twice a day for you to really start noticing the benefits. The benefits include having a better memory, being sharper, better thinking, better planning skills. I noticed that I could study a lot more effectively when I wasn't in college taking piracetam, and so for that reason I really do like it. I still use it now. Definitely helps with motivation, and the only negative side effect is that unfortunately for some people they feel like they're in a little bit of a worse mood when they ingest piracetam, but for most people, I would say 80% of people, they ingest piracetam and the results are great. It also goes well with other nootropic stacks that you're considering using or other nootropic supplements. You can just add your piracetam right in there and it seems to be a good fit. Like the other racetams, oxiracetam, aniracetam, and pramiracetam, they really go well alongside taking it with piracetam. And next up, we do have pramiracetam, which I would rate 7 out of 10. It is great for discipline, building good work habits. Like if you need a supplement to help you with repetitious boredom, it's pramiracetam because you get that discipline to just grind through it. However, the issue with it is that it can depersonalize you to some extent, and the other couple of issues, it's very expensive and it tastes absolutely horrible. Next, we have Rhodiola Rosea. I would rate it 10 out of 10. It's great for fatigue. It's a great supplement to take in the middle of the day when you're not as sharp as you were in the morning. You can ingest some Rhodiola Rosea. It feels like taking a nap. I call it a nap in a pill. When I first started taking Rhodiola Rosea, it hurt that I liked it so much, but I couldn't afford it. But fortunately now I can afford Rhodiola Rosea on a consistent basis, and I've noticed really good results from it. So perhaps I'm just somebody that's very sensitive to Rhodiola Rosea, but for me, when I ingest it, I feel it straight away, I get re-energized and I see good results. Next we have Phenibut, which I would rate 5 out of 10. I think it's pretty effective in like helping you fall asleep, helping you with anxiety, also helping people kind of feel like they would feel if they had drank alcohol, like you would say. So you drink, I mean, you wouldn't be driving. That's the same feeling you can kind of get ingesting Phenibut. But one really neat purpose that I like is using it before bed on a day when I can't fall asleep, or maybe I've ingested too much caffeine or stimulants. Then I really like the fact that Phenibut definitely does help me get to sleep and now helps me have a deep restorative sleep. The next nootropic supplement that I will rate from a scale of 1 to 10 is Subroxy. I will rate it 6 out of 10. Some people ingest Subroxy to help them with some of the symptoms they may experience from having like ADHD. So Subroxy to some extent does help them with concentration and focus. However, I haven't found it all that effective. That being said, I also haven't noticed negative side effects with it. It's just that it's a newer nootropic, it's very expensive, and it's really not all that effective. There are definitely better alternatives out there when it comes to concentration and comes to focus. Next, we have C-Max. I would rate it 7 out of 10. It is effective when it comes to boosting your focus, also boosting your motivation levels. It feels a little bit similar to Noopept, and there is some research suggesting that C-Max can actually boost BDNF, but the issue with C-Max, of course, it's pretty expensive, and some individuals do experience the really negative side effect of experiencing hair loss. The next nootropic supplement is Shilajit. I'll rate it 6 out of 10. It's okay, not amazing, but the benefits are decent. Also, it's fairly free of side effects, and what it's going to do is help with stress management and also help to boost testosterone levels. I have not found it that effective when it comes to boosting testosterone levels, and I really like the fact that Rhodiola Rosea, Bacopa, Monnieri, and Ashwagandha really help to manage my stress level, so I don't really find any need to ingest Shilajit, but some people do ingest Shilajit on a daily basis and they do really enjoy it. Next up, we have silbutamine, which I would rate 3 out of 10. I've tried it a number of times, hoping that it would do something to center myself. People often say that they ingest silbutamine and it makes their mood a little bit more balanced. However, unfortunately, I did not notice that benefit with it or any benefit whatsoever. Next up, we have taurine, which I would rate 6 out of 10. People often ingest taurine alongside with vitamin B or caffeine to help them with their anxiety levels and also to experience better energy levels. Like you'll often see taurine in energy drinks. Like I think Red Bull has it in and other pre-workout supplements. However, I really don't think it's all that effective when it comes to anxiety levels, and there's no need to take it after you've tried some other nootropic supplements and just seen how effective they are. So not that effective for me. Let me know if you think otherwise. And next up, we have theocrine, which I would rate 5 out of 10. A lot of people say that it's a good alternative to caffeine because it does give you the mental energy boost and the physical energy boost, and it doesn't have those same side effects. However, I noticed with theocrine, yes, you get the physical energy, but you don't get that mood boost that you get with caffeine. Like with caffeine, you seem to get this nice euphoria, and I like that feeling personally. So for me anyway, that's why I'm not rating theocrine that high. And the other main issue with theocrine is that it's pretty darn expensive. Next, we have Tongkat Ali, which I would rate 3 out of 10. A lot of people expect that it can help them with stress management, but it really doesn't do all that. Yes, I realize that Tongkat Ali is a great testosterone booster. There's no taking away from that. And with Tongkat Ali, in a lot of instances, it does more harm than it does good, because if you ingest Tongkat Ali fasted, you will feel nausea and very uncomfortable overall. So be careful with this one. I do see the odd individuals say that Tongkat Ali helps them with stress, but I was pretty disappointed with Tongkat Ali as a nootropic supplement. And next we have Tribulus terrestris, which I would rate 9 out of 10. This as well is marketed more towards improving testosterone levels, and that's why I started taking Tribulus. But what I didn't notice was I definitely felt better. I felt more aggressive at work. I felt more confident, kind of like the benefits you would feel mentally when it comes to taking more testosterone. So I wasn't too impressed with the overall like testosterone boosting effects, but when it comes to improving your mood, being in your head less, then Tribulus Terrestris is a great supplement to look into. As a matter of fact, I talked about Tongkat Ali earlier. I made a comparison video right here where I compared Tongkat Ali to Tribulus Terrestris so you could better decide which supplement may be right for you. And next up we have Uridine, which I'll rate 4 out of 10. I think you're going to be much better off taking something like Alpha-GPC. Uridine is a supplement that people do add to other nootropic blends, hoping that it may help them with like thinking, planning, creativity, having a better memory, and just helping to get the most out of the other nootropics. But Alpha-GPC, from my experience, has been a much better alternative, and there's no need to have the Uridine. And next up we have Vinpocetine, which I'll rate 2 out of 10. Not that effective. Some people do report that it helps their memory and does help them study, but I think this was before there were a lot of these other nootropics that were discussed on this video. Vinpocetine, I remember, was marketed very effectively like 10 to 15 years ago, but I was ingesting it thinking that it did something, and it really didn't. So I'm happy to say I've not tried Vinpocetine since. And next up we have Yohimbine, which I'll rate 7 out of 10. It's a very interesting nootropic supplement, this one, in that it does give you an energy boost. Yohimbine does have a really neat effect, and like it gives this euphoric feeling that you really think you can do anything, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe it's better to be a bit more centered. Anyway, let me know how your experience is with that one. And next up we have 5-HTP, which I would rate 5 out of 10. Great for boosting your mood. 5-HTP actually boosts the really important neurotransmitter serotonin, and serotonin is a really important neurotransmitter when it comes to happiness, sleep regulation, and also appetite control. So one neat effect of using 5-HTP is it does control carbohydrate cravings. You're in a slightly better mood for about 60 to 90 minutes. So think of it like you take a nootropic supplement for happiness. That's what 5-HTP does. But because of that, there's also a high addiction potential. And the other issue with 5-HTP is like you're ingesting something for happiness when you're going to be better off just doing some nice mindset practices, taking a break, taking a nap, something else that will boost your mood rather than actually relying on a nootropic supplement for that. And if there's any other supplement that you want me to address, be sure to drop it in the comments below. And I really hope you found this information helpful. You'll be happy to know that I have covered each of these nootropic supplements. I have a huge collection of videos, how to take some of them, their side effects, so you can be well informed. And of course, if you did get value from this video, consider subscribing, drop a like if you're a returning viewer, or just comment so I know that you're here. I really appreciate all of you and how we've built this channel together. And of course, if you'd like to chat with me one-on-one, you can do so over on Patreon, or you can send me a direct message on Instagram. My apologies for a delayed response there. And of course, visit our Discord server, which has a 24/7 chat room. We're answering questions in a time-sensitive fashion and having a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing you all next time.